Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I am Nina.
And today we're going to be looking at part 2 of hanging around with cute koalas.
Yes. Oh, speaking of koalas and just Australia in general, I saw this crazy video online where this kangaroo was strangling a guy's dog by the neck. And so the guy wanted to protect his dog and came up trying to fight him and punched a kangaroo in the face.
The man punched the kangaroo?
Yeah, and the kangaroo was like, what just happened? And it ran away. It was hilarious, but crazy too.
Okay.
I know you've been to Australia. Have you seen any kangaroos or other wild Australian animals?
Yeah, I didn't have to punch any kangaroos or koalas when I was in Australia.
Okay.
But yeah, I did see, when I was in Australia, I saw lots of kangaroos. It was, I was taking a bus from one city to another city, and so driving through sort of the countryside area, you just see kangaroos around, the sides of the road. And
so cool.
You see lots of kangaroos and lots of wallabies too, which are like the little kangaroos.
Okay, that's cute.
And we even saw from our bus, I remember we were in this bus, it was a tour bus, so we were taking us to one place, and while we were driving, our driver stopped the bus suddenly and got off and ran outside the bus and started digging in the ground.
Oh. Because
he wanted to show us an animal. So he dug in the ground and pulled out this animal, which was an echidna.
Echidna?
Echidna is another kind of marsupial that has these spikes on it, and it has a beak.
Oh, okay.
And it can dig in the ground very quickly. So our bus driver wanted to show us this animal because it's pretty difficult to get to see one of these because they're hard to find. But he actually saw it from the bus.
That is so cool, actually. Huh.
But the one thing I didn't see in the wild was a koala. I did not see a koala in the wild. So I've only had to see them in zoos.
I see. That's a shame. Well, if I ever go to Australia, I would rather run into a koala than a kangaroo because a koala is not going to put up a fight with you.
Fight the koala.
Yeah, sounds a lot safer and cuter. So.
Right. Well, let's learn more about koalas as we get into part 2 of our article.
Okay.
Koalas are known for being lazy. They regularly sleep over 18 hours a day. That might seem extreme, but there's a reason they sleep so much. It's because they mostly eat eucalyptus leaves. These take a long time to digest and provide very little energy, so koalas need a lot of time to relax. Most of the energy they do get from eucalyptus leaves is then used for climbing trees to find more leaves. In fact, eating and sleeping makes up about 95% of a koala's entire day.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of hanging around with cute koalas.
Koalas are known for being lazy. They regularly sleep over 18 hours a day.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. That might seem extreme, but there's a reason they sleep so much.
Okay, so let's learn what the reason is. But what's regularly?
Okay, so regularly is an adverb, and it means something that happens often. It happens at regular intervals, or it means it's not unusual. So it's a normal thing that happens, and it happens often. So if they regularly sleep 18 hours a day, it means it's just normal for them to sleep 18 hours a day.
Okay.
So for example, Flora regularly reads stories to her baby sister.
Well, that's nice.
That's a nice thing to do.
All right, so it may seem extreme. Extreme is an adjective and it means very intense, severe, or far from the average. So in this case, it means very far from the average, right? For example, humans usually sleep about 8 hours a day if you're lucky, right? Whereas they sleep 18 hours a day. So for example, I have never experienced extreme heat like this before. Oh, when I was in Dubai, that was the most extreme heat that I have ever experienced.
Okay.
Yeah, it was almost 50 degrees Celsius.
Wow, that's very extreme.
Very extreme.
Okay. So continuing on, It's because they mostly eat eucalyptus leaves. These take a long time to digest and provide very little energy. So koalas need a lot of time to relax.
Okay, so the things that they're eating takes a while to digest and it doesn't provide a lot of energy, so they will want to sleep a lot.
It makes sense to me after, I eat a big meal like at like Thanksgiving. You eat so much food, you just want to lie down and relax after that and let the food digest.
Yes, that makes sense. Most of the energy they do get from eucalyptus leaves is then used for climbing trees to find more leaves. So, in fact, eating and sleeping makes up about 95% of a koala's entire day. Okay, so they use up all their energy to get more food, and then after having the food, they just want to relax, and then it's time to eat again, and they use up their energy so they can get more leaves.
So there's only 95% is used for eating and sleeping. There's only 5% that the koalas are not eating and sleeping. So I wonder what they're doing during that time.
Maybe using the toilet or
scrolling on their phone, chatting with friends.
I don't
Maybe
think
not.
so. I hear they're not very social animals.
Oh, they're not social animals, so they're not on the social media, not taking selfies for the...
No, maybe just caring for their child if they have one.
Okay. So, do you think sleeping and eating 95% of one's day, does that sound like a good life to you?
Yeah, I would say so. The older I get, I love sleeping and eating the most. The social part is maybe 5 to 10%. So I'm pretty much a koala.
So you're pretty much, you're looking to become a koala.
Yeah.
The more like a koala you can be, the better.
Sounds like the life to me.
Well, we'll learn more about, your new life as a koala when we come back after the break.
All right.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们今天要继续来介绍可爱的无尾熊。无尾熊以懒惰出名，它们经常每天要睡超过18个小时。这听起来似乎有点夸张，有点极端，但它们会睡那么久是有原因的。这是因为它们主要是吃尤加利叶。那这些叶子需要很长时间才能消化，而且提供的能量很少，所以无尾熊需要很长的时间休息。那它们从尤加利叶获得的大部分能量都被用在爬树来找更多的叶子，于是呢，它们就这样一直吃跟睡，吃和睡就占了一整天大约95%的时间。Matt 老师开玩笑说，剩下5%时间可能是在滑手机跟朋友聊天，这是开玩笑的。那老师用到 scroll。scroll 可以表达滚动、滑动，像我们在滑动这个网站的页面或是文件等等。好，课文单字 regularly， 它是副词，表示经常、有规律地。那老师在讲解单字时有提到 interval，interval 它可以表达间隔的意思。下一个单字 extreme， 它是形容极端的或是激烈的。这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。这边我们来学习动词 take， 它可以指花费、需要，像是花费时间、精力等等。那常常会用事物或者是虚主词 it 来当主词。以下介绍2种常见的句型。第一个句型是 something take somebody 时间或精力，或者是 something take 时间或精力，后面加上不定词 to be。举例来说 ，Doing the dishes took me 20 minutes。洗碗花了我20分钟。那第二个句型是 it takes 时间或精力，或者是 it takes somebody 时间或精力，后面再加上不定词 to be。例如 it takes a lot of time and effort to master a foreign language。要精通外国语言需要花很多时间精力。接回课文中。
It's estimated that there are fewer than 100,000 koalas living in the wild today, as frequent bushfires have destroyed much of their habitat. Thankfully, Australia has created many protected areas to help the koala population grow. However, you don't need to go to one of these areas to see a koala up close. You can visit the Koala House at Taipei Zoo, where over a dozen of the animals live. These koalas were all donated by the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary in Queensland. Of course, if you do visit, don't be surprised if you find the koalas having a nice, relaxing sleep.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So before the break, we were learning about how koalas regularly sleep over 18 hours a day, which may seem quite extreme, but there's a reason for that. Their diet actually consists mostly of eucalyptus leaves, which provides little energy and takes a while to digest. So when they finally do have energy, they use it just for climbing trees and getting more leaves. And the rest of the time, they're just relaxing so that they can digest or they're sleeping. Yeah, so 90% of their day consists of...
95% of their day.
Yeah, 95, which is crazy. Percent of their day consists of eating and sleeping, right? Okay. Which sounds like a great life to me.
Okay. So continuing with the article, it's estimated that there are fewer than 100,000 koalas living in the wild today, as frequent bushfires have destroyed much of their habitat.
That is very sad, isn't it?
So it's estimated, that means that they're not exactly sure, but they have a good idea. So when you estimate something, you're using the facts that you have to guess what is probably the right number, because you can't actually go out and count all the koalas. You can go 1, 2, 3. It's going to be pretty difficult, so you have to estimate.
Yes, that's true. Okay.
So there are that few, 100,000's not very many.
It's not.
And it's because of these frequent bushfires. So frequent means happening many times in not a very long length of time. So frequent means that it happens often and not over a long span of time, but within a shorter piece of time, you have it happening
a lot.
So for example, frequent exercise will make you feel happier and healthier.
Yeah,
so doing exercising a lot, can
it's good for
happier.
You. Yeah, that's good. All right, so the frequent bushfires destroy most of their habitat often, right? So destroy is a verb and it means to cause significant damage or ruin something beyond repair. So for example, the old building was destroyed by the strong winds. Maybe there was a huge typhoon or earthquake, right? That could destroy a building. So continuing, thankfully, Australia has created many protected areas to help the koala population grow. Okay, so you know they are animals that are almost extinct, right? Or they're endangered.
Endangered at this point.
Yeah, endangered. So they have to create these safe spaces for koalas, right?
And we say thankfully they've created these spaces. So thankfully meaning that you are thankful, that you give thanks for something. You are happy that something happened and you want to say thanks for that. You have a feeling that you want to say thanks for it. Maybe you don't actually need to say thanks, but when you say yes, thankfully, it means I am very happy that something has happened.
Yeah.
So for example, I forgot to bring my homework to school today, but thankfully, Mr. Daniels wasn't too angry.
Yeah,
so
okay. Feeling thanks towards it, grateful.
Thank you for not being angry, Mr. Daniels.
Yeah, continuing. However, you don't need to go to one of these areas to see a koala up close. You can visit the koala house at Taipei Zoo, where over a dozen of the animals live. That's true. I've seen koalas at Taipei Zoo.
Yes, I've also been to the koala house. And
yeah.
You can see them pretty close up because they just have the glass is right there, and then they're just usually sleeping on the trees.
Not doing anything.
These koalas were all donated by the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary in Queensland. Of course, if you do visit, don't be surprised if you find the koalas having a nice, relaxing sleep.
That's always the case.
That's, I think, what I've seen there as well. So these koalas were donated. It means that they were given to the Taipei Zoo by this sanctuary group. And that means they were given without asking for money in return. They're donated.
Okay.
So we have a what do you think question, Nina. So Nina, have you ever been to a zoo? And which animals did you see there?
Ooh, yeah. Well, I've been to quite a few, I'd say, but most recently Taipei Zoo. I've seen, well, koalas for one. You know, you have the lions, the gorillas, the penguins. I love seeing penguins. Though it does make me a little sad to see some of them in a rather small space. Yeah. So I feel a little bit conflicted about going to zoos.
Okay, well, I've been to quite a few zoos as well, and I think Taipei Zoo does a pretty good job of giving them, large spaces and trying to make it feel like their natural habitat, their natural environment. Because I have been to some other zoos, which, as you said, can be pretty sad.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to see that. I think the zoo in Taipei does a good job of taking care of these animals and letting the koalas sleep soundly in their space.
Well, as long as they have enough food and they have their space and they have their trees, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So I've enjoyed learning about koalas. It makes me want to pay another visit to the koala house at Taipei Zoo. So I better get going to do that. So we'll see you next time.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
根据估计，现今野生的无尾熊不到10万只，因为频繁的林地火灾摧毁了它们大部分的栖息地。那幸好澳洲现在已经有成立许多保护区来帮助它们数量成长。单字 frequent 它是形容词，形容经常发生的、频繁的。destroy 这个动词则是表达摧毁、破坏。那么 thankfully 它表示幸亏、幸好或是感谢地，它是个副词。那课文最后提到说，要近距离观察无尾熊，可以造访台北动物园的无尾熊馆，有超过12只的无尾熊在那里生活哦。那这些无尾熊都是由昆士兰的库伦宾野生动物保护区所捐赠的。如果你在造访的时候发现无尾熊睡得很香，也不用感到意外啦，反正他们一天至少不是要睡18小时吗？好，那这边有2个重点，我们要进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 where 当关系副词的用法。where 当关系副词相当于介系词加上 which， 可以引导形容词子句去修饰或是补述说明表示地方的先行词。以下介绍2种用法。第一个是当先行词它是不明确的地点时，我们就要限定它的范围，所以是用限定用法。where 前面不需要加逗号，像 The bear was trapped in a cage where it could barely move。那只熊被困在一个它几乎无法动弹的笼子里。那第二个是当先行词是特定或明确的地点时，这时候就不用限定范围啦，所以是用非限定用法。where 的前面必须加逗号。例如 Lisa wants to open a coffee shop in Ilan where she was born and brought up。 Lisa 想要在宜兰开一间咖啡店，那是她出生长大的地方。来看第二个重点是if 引导条件句的时候，可以用来描述未来可能发生的情况。那么主要子句是祈使句的话，我们常常就会用来表示建议或是给予指示。句型是 if 主词加动词，逗号祈使句。例如 If you have any questions, just give me a call。 如果你有任何问题，就打电话给我吧。好，那以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Koalas are known for being lazy. They regularly sleep over 18 hours a day. That might seem extreme, but there's a reason they sleep so much. It's because they mostly eat eucalyptus leaves. These take a long time to digest and provide very little energy, so koalas need a lot of time to relax. Most of the energy they do get from eucalyptus leaves is then used for climbing trees to find more leaves. In fact, eating and sleeping makes up about 95% of a koala's entire day. It's estimated that there are fewer than 100,000 koalas living in the wild today, as frequent bushfires have destroyed much of their habitat. Thankfully, Australia has created many protected areas to help the koala population grow. However, you don't need to go to one of these areas to see a koala up close. You can visit the Koala House at Taipei Zoo, where over a dozen of the animals live. These koalas were all donated by the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary in Queensland. Of course, if you do visit, don't be surprised if you find the koalas having a nice, relaxing sleep.
Here's how to play. The host will be holding 3 cards. Each card will have 2 sentences containing a secret vocabulary word or phrase that has been replaced by the word bear. The host will read the sentences out loud for the contestants to guess. Whoever guesses first gets a point. The person with the most points wins. And you can play along too.
Hi everybody, today we're going to play Guess the Bear. I'm Carolyn.
I'm Steven.
I'm Josh.
Okay, let's get started.
All right.
Our first one is one word and it's a noun. Here's a bear for hiking. Always bring a compass. Mary is always around to give bears to beginners.
Directions.
Advice.
Again.
Here's a bear for hiking. Always bring a compass. Mary is always around to give bears to beginners.
Pointers.
Signs.
She's always giving advice. No.
Very close.
Pointers, advice.
A route. Path.
Something like advice, something like pointers. Like, I'm going to give you some...
Time.
Some... Pointers!
Here's
Okay, I'm going to save you.
Plan.
The word was tip.
Oh!
Here's a tip for hiking. Always bring a compass.
Oh.
The second
That's
sentence.
a good tip.
Mary is always around to give tips to beginners. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one word and it's a verb.
Okay.
Grace bared the carrot in half. Fran used a knife to bear the rope.
Cut.
Yes, cut. I'll read the sentences. Grace cut the carrot in half. Fran used a knife to cut the rope.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and let's move on to the last one.
Sure.
It's a phrase and it's 2 words.
Okay.
We're waiting at the station to bear the train. Nick bared the bus and went into the city.
Jumped on. Got on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's get on is the present tense and then got on is the past tense. So I'll read both sentences. We are waiting at the station to get on the train. Nick got on the bus and went into the city. Okay, so
There was a tie.
Yeah.
1 point for each of you.
Yay! We're all winners!
Yeah, that first one was so,
Yeah,
so
it was
hard
like-
not to
that's
help
right.
you. You
We
were
were
so
like
close.
dancing around it.